we're back. My name is Vin Sanger. I'm your host this morning, and Corey Young is with us. Corey is the Assistant Dining Director. For lack of a dining director right now, Corey's got it. Welcome, Corey. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
And Corey, I'm just wondering, tell me about dining services. What all does it include? There's food services and other things.
Well, the dining program is rather large, and you're looking at 3 dining rooms and independent living, and attached to it a bistro as well. And you're looking at Garden Ridge,
yes,
that also has, excuse me, its own dining facility as well. So it's pretty all-encompassing. It includes, food service. It includes table service. We talk always about a dining experience.
Sure.
A lot of people, when they think of dining services, immediately what comes to their mind is just the food part. You'll say, well, that must just be how you cook the food, how you prepare the food. But there's really so much that goes into the entire program when you look at it from a broad spectrum. You're talking really about an experience. So there's training, there's the atmosphere of the dining room, there's obviously the food, which is very important. There's presentation. There's just a whole bunch of aspects that go into what we call creating an outstanding dining experience.
Sure.
So food is obviously an important part, but it's not the only thing that we look at and we train.
Yeah. So there are a lot of ways to go wrong, and if you go wrong, you're going to hear about it, aren't you?
Definitely. I think that when I look, say, a year and a half ago when we first launched Signature Menu in the dining rooms over in the Fireside in Woodland Skies and the Composed Plates in Jefferson, that was right around the survey of last year, and I think that change was so big. I feel like we rolled out the program relatively well, but I think that the change was so big, it obviously created some unrest amongst the residents. There was a lot of feedback, I'll say,
Sure.
that, about
Yes.
Signature Menu and Signature Dining. Where we stand right now, I feel we've come so far in terms of where the dining room's at, in terms of the food offerings, the variety in the menu, where we are in terms of service. I feel like is another aspect where I feel like in some areas we're good. In some areas, we're inconsistent, and I think that's why if you saw the show last month or on Monday when I was here, we were talking about this service training team that's going to start next week. I really think that's going to help address some of the inconsistencies that residents are expressing in regards to the service in some of the areas or some of the dining rooms. I had mentioned that we frequently hear that sometimes in certain venues, the service can be good one day, and then it could be completely different the next day, and that the servers are not all trained the same, and some are good and some are, need areas to work on. So hopefully residents will see that. That will start again next Monday, and it's going to start in the Fireside. So if you frequently dine in the Fireside dining room, look for those servers to be walking around and monitoring, and actually what they're going to be doing really is auditing the staff. Sure. And making sure that they're following what we train, what we call the sequence of service or service points, and that they're being consistent. And those that aren't, that's the great opportunity where we will be able to retrain them, be able to talk to them about what they missed, what they need to work on. So I think that going back to your original question of what can go wrong, and our residents are, I think, in a much better place in terms of where they feel Signature Menu is this year, or where we are now for this survey, than where we were, say, last survey when all of the changes were coming down at once. Sure. Like, seems like one time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But this, by the way, remind our viewers, it's a call-in show, and the number is on the screen. I can't read it from here, but it's on your screen. Give Corey a call. Corey, I wonder, I see, what are the trucks? Are they Cisco? Oh, we have a call. And Corey? Okay. Corey, we have a call. And caller, you're on with Corey Young.
Corey, you continue to bring resident smiles in your new position.
Well, thank you.
However, you got to acknowledge that there are 4 dinner menus in your planning. The cafe serves as many or more dinners than the Fireside from the same kitchen, yet it has been hit with far more reductions in services. Please include the cafe in your planning.
Okay. Interestingly, I was in the cafe yesterday I don't actually get a chance to go to the cafe too often to eat lunch, but I was there yesterday, and a few residents came to me as I was eating, and they were expressing what they wish to see in the cafe, what they felt could be improved on. So that's something that we're going to talk about very shortly in terms of some of its layout. I was hearing about some of it is advertisement of the menu, what is at what station, what is the pricing. It's not evident in a lot of the stations where they walk in. So these are just some of the things that we'll be talking about with the Fireside team in the next week or so. Menu, I think, in the Fireside, going back to having the different entrees at lunch rather than having the same thing at lunch and dinner, I think has made an improvement. Brought back some of the signs. Residents were saying in the cafe that all the signs had got taken away, so it was very hard for them to see and to understand what was in front of them, say on the steam table. It was also very hard for the serving staff. They were repeating themselves, 3, 4, 5 times because there was no signs in front of the food. So brought those back, but again, still work to be done over in the cafe. I definitely have heard about it from residents as well.
Monday, I remember, I was on the soundboard. I was out in the control room when you were on Monday. And of course, I'm supposed to be paying attention to I wasn't supposed to be listening to you, but you talk about ice cream.
Yes.
Oh, and we got a call, Corey.
Okay.
Okay. And caller, you're on with Corey Young.
Hi, Corey.
Hello.
When are they going to do away with those ditches in Woodland Skies? And the second question is, why did they do away with the cup, a bowl of soup instead of just a cup? If you want a bowl, they did away with the bowl.
Well, I didn't quite get the first part of the question.
And I didn't hear the first one either.
Yeah, I heard
the
something
first question
about,
again, caller, please.
When are they going to do away with the dishes in Woodland Skies?
oh, the dishes.
Look like a wave.
Dishes. Okay.
Oh, yes. Yes. All right. Yeah, I remember somebody complained that the knives fall off the dish, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Where did this knife go?
Yeah. So the dishware, I have to tell all the residents that we do still have quite a significant inventory and storage of dishes that still are our backup. We use those for breakage and when things disappear. So we still have to use up some of that dishware, but we're not going to buy that pattern or that design, obviously anymore, based on so much of the feedback that we've gotten from the residents. As that dishware expires, gets broken, lost, we are going to get a new pattern, much more flat, not wavy, because the biggest, like the caller pointed out, we heard, is that the silverware will fall off of the plates when they put it down.
Yes.
Interestingly, when we launched Signature Menu, I told the story many times to the residents. For about 30 minutes, the response was so positive. Oh, the dishes are beautiful. They look great. And then literally, probably 10, 15 minutes later, hands were going up, and it just turned into, look at what's happening to my silverware. Look what's happening to my silverware. And we could see that, it was very hard to find a place where your silverware will sit and not fall off of the table there. As far as, I think the second question was about bowls of soup, and versus cups. We don't have a vessel right now or a container for a bowl to service everyone that would want a large bowl in the back of the kitchen. So what we've been telling the server, and this is again when I was still at Woodland Skies, you can always have 2 cups of soup if you want to order 2 at the same time. That's more than fine. So if you ever want to have 2 cups of soup, even 3. I've had one resident who wants 3 because they feel that 3 equals a bowl. They're more than welcome to do that. So you can still get your more than 1 cup, but we just don't have enough bowls or that size, even a saucer to put it on to do that.
Yeah. You were mentioning over time you begin to run low on plates. See, I think the people who complain about those curved plates are probably stealing them, do you suppose?
Well, I've had many residents say, do you want me to break them on purpose or drop them on the floor? And, I don't know. I can tell you sometimes working in the dining rooms over the years, many things disappear, not just plates. Not sure where they go, but we've had, silverwares disappear. We've had wine glasses disappear. Many things just overnight miraculously are gone. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll volunteer to break some. We definitely don't have as much in stores as we used to. And again, I'm speaking from when I was still at Woodlands, because we had the largest reservoir of extra plates and bowls. But there's definitely still something to get used up. We've definitely opened a lot of them. So you can tell, and this is only within, so say we brought those out on November 15th of last year, so it hasn't even been a year, and we're already running through them, and it's going to be time to order some relatively soon or get replacements.
Sure.
So they won't be here forever. Yeah. They will definitely be transitioned out.
A couple of times in the cafe, they've run out of silverware. So I've teased Penny. I said, Penny, I'm going to start bringing my own from my apartment.
Well, the silverware is something that they can be purchased. It doesn't have to wait for us to transition out of that China, so I can relay that. They should have enough silverware to run service. If not, you can always buy the pattern that they have there.
Yeah. One of the ladies that I eat with routinely in the cafe, back to ice cream, you see. A couple of weeks ago, she went for a dish of ice cream, and she came back. She was really excited. She had a dish. Somehow she knew she had a dish of Edie's.
Okay. So
that's a winner, I guess.
Right, and that's what I talked about on Monday. Talking about the question was why the transition to Jack and Jill. Hershey's was very good, and one of the selling points when we actually transitioned over from Jack and Jill is they did have all of these specialty flavors and varieties. Edie's, Haagen-Dazs, and I believe Ben and Jerry's even.
We've got a call.
Okay.
Okay, call's coming in. All right. Yep, caller, you're on with Corey.
Okay. When we get older, sometimes like acid type things bother us. And like today at the Jefferson, we have a tomato vegetable, a tomato and cucumber salad, meatball marinara, which is a tomato base, and another spinach and tomato. And I think that's a lot of tomato just in one evening, if you don't want that. And so I would like to see it, we have some other things other than just a tomato base. Thank you.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I think that sounded definitely like a lot of tomatoes in all of the options, so that's something I'll definitely pass on to Michael and to Mama over there in CB3.
Yeah.
Jefferson.
What are the trucks I see? Cisco, is it?
Right, so you see many. You'll see Cisco, you'll probably see the Jack and Jill trucks, you'll see Capital Produce and Seafood is another vendor that comes in. You'll see Lee Valley.
Sorry, Corey, we got another call. Hey, we're on a run here.
Good.
And it's been, okay. So caller, you're on with Corey.
Okay. Corey, I've noticed in Woodland Skies that the quality of the chicken breasts have deteriorated. I think you must be using a different distributor or something, but they're not the same as they were months ago. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, that's something that I can ask over to Chef Mark, but to my knowledge, we haven't changed, or they have not changed the chicken breast in Woodlands. It had been since I was there the same product, so I'll follow up with Mark on that to see if he did change it, but I don't believe that he did.
So I'm back to the delivery truck. So you're the guy who decides what to order and how much?
Well, not directly. It's more so when you talk of ordering, you're looking at the general manager and the executive chef of each venue. Each restaurant has different needs, different products. They go through a certain amount of, say, inventory on any given day. So I wouldn't be able to say, okay, we're going to order this X amount of food for everybody and everyone's going to divvy it up. It wouldn't work in terms of the volume. All the restaurants have different volume as well, how many residents come in. So really the ordering's done by the general managers and by the executive chefs of the respective venues. The distributors and who we order from, though, that is the same. That's universal. So Woodlands can't order their, say, produce from a company, and then Jefferson orders from a different company, and it's all from the same distributors. And so we're universal on that. But in terms of what we order and what quantities and products that we order, that's individualized amongst the dining rooms. Do that.
Now, how big is the staff? How many people total? That's probably an unfair question.
Yeah, it's definitely hundreds. I can, so if you want to multiply it out by, if I can remember back when I was in Woodlands, you had about 50 to 55 servers alone, so that's just the wait staff. You talked about probably, you're looking at about 12 to 15 total culinarians in the back, and then the management team, you're looking at another 3, 4 probably total people. So if you add that up, multiply it out by 4, you're into the hundreds, I know, in terms of total staff that work under Diane. Diane's a very big department.
Yeah.
I think it's probably comparable to the general services team in terms of how large it is. But there's the servers alone. I mean, just how many servers, when you think about how many employees you need to cover 7 days a week, and a lot of times 3 meal periods per day, and to cover all the sections, even on, let's just talk about any given day, to cover all the sections, to have the culinary team staffed in the back, you're probably looking at 26 servers, you're probably looking at another 10 culinarians in the back, so you're up to 36, and then the managers maybe up to 38, sometimes 40 people a day just to run it.
Yeah. And now the wait staff, there's got to be a lot of turnover there. The young kids, they turn over once a year probably.
Right. This is the time of year where we always have the biggest amount of turnover because a lot of the seniors go away to college. Those that stay locally often elect to stay and work at Green Spring while they're going to college locally. But I think the majority of them, when they graduate, go off to school.
Right.
So we're in the process now, the dining rooms, of hiring and training the new wait staff that come on board. Definitely, we go through this every year, so each year we're trying to be even more proactive in starting the hiring process earlier.
Yeah.
So we don't wait until the day they walk out the door to start interviewing, because I think a lot of residents don't realize that it takes quite a while to get someone from the interview stage to serving your table. And what I mean is they have to go through many, they have to bring in references, they have to go through their TB test, they have to go through a variety of protocols before they're check mark to say you're ready to start in the dining room. And then once they start, they got to go through the training.
Yeah.
So you're looking at quite a long time before a server from the hiring process is ready to be released and start to serve in the dining room.
But I would think that you're part of the interview process.
I was over when in Woodlands and where I worked before. G, when I was in Woodlands, G handled a lot of it. Roxanne, the supervisor, and this can go on to each of the diners. So Nadine and Marisi and Fireside and Pearl and Riani and Nadia over in Jefferson. So they're primarily responsible for hiring the staff at their individual dining rooms. We sometimes do job fairs. We just bring in a whole bunch of students who are interested in working here, and then we kind of set up stations and just go through interviews that way.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of times it's based on referrals. So friends of employees who already work in the dining room say, hey, my friend would really like to come here. Do you think he could interview? I think he'd be a great worker and employee. So. Yeah. There's many different ways that we hire wait staff.
And some of the young kids who go off to college, some of them come back in June. Spend another summer, maybe?
Well, we used to do that. It got a little difficult. In the past, we used to do that. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
What we do is if a staff member leaves for college and then wants to come back and say work at Green Spring on a permanent basis, they do go through the interview process again.
Yep.
But they're more than welcome to come back. We've actually had employees here who have gone away to school and studied, for 3 or 4 years and have come back and been employed at Green Spring. We don't bring as many as before because it was just too hard to be fair with everybody. It got to a point where, say, 15 to 20 college students wanted to come back and work just for the summer. But you don't have 20 slots to fill because you're trying to get through the whole year. So it got too difficult in terms of how we would bring them back.
Yeah. How many? Another question, probably unfair. How many meals do you serve every day?
Well, that's probably into the. I would say I'm trying to calculate 2, 4, 6, 8 in the thousands.
We've got a call.
I would say.
Got a call coming, and the call's in. Okay, caller, you're on. Yeah, you're on.
Hello,
with.
Corey. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How come on the seafood festival we have to pay $55 and also give up our flexi meal? That means I'm paying around $80 for the dinner, right?
So I believe the question is, how come you have to pay an extra fee and a meal for the Seafood
For the
Fest?
Seafood Fest, that's right. I
Right.
think.
The Seafood Fest is comparable to like when you have the events, say the evening with the chef. The reason that you're paying the extra cost is because of the food that's offered there is more expensive. You know, we're having the lobster tails and the mussels, and you're also paying in for the additional labor that has to come in and do it. So it's all cost out in terms of to make sure that we have enough revenue to cover the cost to put on an event like that. So it's a lot more expensive, I think, than residents think to have like a really fancy event to make sure it's staffed properly, to make sure that the food cost is covered. So it's all cost out by our catering team, Min, who's done a great job with catering. And incidentally, I might bring this up now that we're talking about catering. I don't know if everyone's aware, but Min is actually going to be leaving us. She's our catering manager.
You mentioned that.
I mentioned that, okay. Just so everyone's aware that her last day will be this Friday. So if
Yeah.
you did want to say, wish her well, she's going to be going back to school, which is
Yeah.
why she will be leaving. But to get back to the question, it's all costed out. And that's
Yeah.
why you have to use the flex meal and also the additional fee.
Sure, it's a not-for-profit event, isn't it?
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
Does anyone hear from Eli? How's he doing?
I think Brian's heard from him a couple times. I know I've heard from him once. He said he's doing well. He said he misses everyone. I've only been in contact with him one time since he left. That was actually through text message. He said just to say hello to everyone, and said he's doing great where he is. He's working hard,
Yeah.
but said everything's going well.
He's in Chicago?
He's in Chicago, correct?
Was it Marriott? Was it a Marriott?
No. I don't think it's the Marriott. I can't remember the name of the company that he went to, but I think he's been there for 2-3 weeks now.
Yeah.
I think officially starting, or maybe it's been 4, but
Yeah.
he said everything's going well.
Yeah, good.
His family's doing good.
Good. What was I going to ask? You see, I know it's, well, Corey, tell me about yourself now. How long have you been at Green Spring?
Okay, well, I've been here for 14 years. I started when I was 17 years old as a server in Fireside back when I was a junior in high school.
Yeah.
I've worked in all of the dining rooms. I've kind of spent my last 4 years over in Woodlands, working through the supervisor position, assistant general manager position, eventual general manager. I recently just took on the assistant director position within the last month. Just kind of waiting for someone to assist at this point. We don't have a director. As soon as I got the promotion, Eli announced that he was leaving. So just, like I said, waiting for that director to come in and continue to learn from them, him or her. And I've enjoyed every day in all my positions here. And there's many of us who've been here for quite a while. I know Rainey and over in Jefferson's been here for a long time. G's been here for a long time. Min, although she's leaving, been here even longer than I have. So there's many employees in dining who've kind of started, as servers or as hosts, and have kind of worked their way up into the dining.
So the story here is there's a 17-year-old in one of the restaurants who one day is going to take over dining services, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, probably, as you have.
I can only think of the many compliments that one of our servers over in Woodlands got, who's extremely popular. I'm not sure if that's who we're talking about, but there's many of the servers who are outstanding. I mean, that just go above and beyond. Each dining room I know would probably have residents would tell them who they think their stars are there and who their best servers are. We have a lot of really good and smart and talented wait staff.
See, now I know where you're going, Corey. One day some big corporate operation is going to come in and offer you a job. 2 minutes. We've got 2 minutes. Offer you a job running dining services worldwide. They'll send you to Martinique, and you will quickly adapt to the local culture. Your hair will go long.
Oh, boy.
You'll be in a multicolored shirt like this and sandals, and you'll be on television with Andrew, is it Andrew Bourdain?
Anthony, I think.
Anthony Bourdain.
I know who you're talking about.
Anthony
CNN.
Bourdain, yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I have to, months ago, a few months ago, Corey, you were on a call-in show, and we had just made some sort of change in how calls are transferred, and we were trying to we wanted to test that out, and we weren't getting any calls. So I walked out of the control room, down to the front desk, and I called in, and I said, Corey, I can't get egg noodles with my beef stroganoff. Who do I talk to about that? And then I hung up. I didn't get the answer. But my problem now is, now I can get the egg noodles, but I don't get the beef stroganoff. Did you take beef stroganoff off of it?
No, we didn't. For something like beef stroganoff, that's always should be served, like I said, with the pasta. Sometimes they put it as a side choice, so they'll have like the stroganoff, and then on the side is one of the starches will be the egg noodles, and sometimes they have it just included. So if it's not, I had just said, mention it to your general manager of the venue that you prefer to go to, or the executive chef when they're out walking. Just suggest to them that's something you'd like to see. Frequently the general managers take the comment cards and all the suggestions that come in, and they use that feedback to base the menu changes on. Woodland Skies did it, and I know Fireside and Jefferson do the same. So writing the cards and just giving the feedback is the best way to get that across.
Yeah, and people do read those. I think Phyllis
We do.
told me
Oh
once,
yeah,
too.
we read them.
Yeah.
We definitely read them.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, Corey, we're running out of time here, and I'm
Okay.
so glad that you came. This one, I enjoyed this. This went great.
Good. Thank you.
And again, thanks for stopping in. And we'll probably see you next month, won't we?
Sure. Yeah.
So we have some announcements.